Hi everyone, my name is Gabby Navarre and today I will be taking you through my capstone. My capstone is the Midewin National Tall Grass Prairie, with my focus zone being the Iron Bridge Trailhead. Midewin is such an untapped gem in this region and it is home to one of the largest continuous green spaces in the Chicago region. It is home to over 20 acres of land that features prairie, an oak savanna restoration, a herd of bison, as well as an old army ammunition bunkers from its time serving the army, as well as a plethora of archaeological finds from the indigenous tribes who used to roam the land and the families that used this land for their farmsteads. The Iron Bridge Trailhead is is a heavily accessed entry point to the site. It is unfortunately underserving as a gateway into the site. With a lack of place and identity, the main goal of this project is to restore that sense of identity and create a welcoming visitor experience. To really understand what needed to be done to make Medellin a successful recreational park, my research involved trying to understand what amenities, features, and characteristics surrounding parks in the area had. First, I focused on similarly programmed and scaled state and natural preserves. Overall, Medellin has a lot of what these other parks offer, but could provide more amenities, especially at the Iron Bridge Trailhead. Through my research and interviews with my stakeholders, a programmatic element they wanted to include was an outdoor event space. They mentioned many of the events they used to hold at Medellin, but they felt that there wasn't a good place for them anymore at Medellin to hold these events and provide new, unique events such as birthday parties and micro weddings. Creating an outdoor event space would provide a unique amenity that Medellin would have that other parks in the area would not have. The next part of my research includes looking at the characteristics of local and community parks within a 30-mile radius of Medellin. Since Medellin is wanting to serve as a more recreational park, I wanted to see the typical characteristics and amenities those had to offer. Many of these parks provided your typical park amenities: metal or wooden benches, pre-manufactured playgrounds, wooden or steel pavilions, asphalt or concrete trails and sidewalks. Medellin could provide similar features, but to really create an identity for Medellin, I wanted to provide these amenities but pull from the materiality on site, such as concrete, metal, and stone from the bunkers, the farmstead foundations, and the whaleboats. Tying these materials tying these materials into the furnishings tie it back to the history of a site. This identity will help Medellin stand out as a unique and intentional recreational park. Next, I looked at the demographics in Willis County to understand who are the potential visitors at Medellin. There is a large Hispanic population around Medellin as well as African American / Black population. These two populations are not the current primary visitors of the site, so it's important to know what we can incorporate to make them feel more welcomed. Simple translations on signs in Spanish can make new visitors feel welcomed. The population in Will County is also increasing. As more people start to move to the county, Medellin can become the place people want to spend time and visit more often. Since we know the population around Medellin is increasing, it is important to note how making improvements to Medellin can improve these new residents and current residents' lives. As you see in the first diagram, around Medellin, there's not a lot of public park access. So people who move into these areas will benefit from the addition of Medellin becoming a recreational zone. Looking at public transportation, the bus lines already get really close to Medellin. So by improving Medellin, we can get support and buy-in to elongate those bus lines all the way down to Medellin, making this a space that can now be accessed by public transportation. And as Willis County keeps expanding, its trails and greenways expand as well, making Medellin an essential place for these trails to connect and pass through, making a unique opportunity for bicyclists and pedestrians as well. Finally, I zoomed into the Iron Bridge Trailhead. I started by looking at the existing features at Medellin that needed to be highlighted. So some of these features include the historical farmsteads, the bison show pasture, and the bunker area. This makes sense as to why the Iron Bridge Trailhead is the most prominent access point for Medellin. Looking at sun and shade, this was important to consider as the prairie gets really hot in the summer and when it's sunny and there's not a lot of opportunity for shade. So protecting the existing tree canopy and adding tree canopy where I can that doesn't disturb the restoration. Looking at views from the trailhead, right now the views really look at the agricultural fields and some unpleasant views when in reality we should be looking at the prairie and possibly the bunkers. So by enhancing these existing features and making adjustments to the views, we can create a design that provides eastern and southern connections further into the site that creates a more intentional gateway and visitor experience than what is there right now. After doing my research, I was able to come up with my project goals. The first being to increase vegetation by creating a welcoming visitor experience and a clear sense of place and identity. Two being to increase educational opportunities through recreation, and three, healing lands heals people, which supports the prairie's restoration goals. Next, I was able to create a precedent imagery board that kind of spoke to the materiality of the site and the programs on site that I wanted to propose that connected back to each goals. So for creating a sense of place, this looks at materiality, incorporating metal and concrete and some wood into the site to tie it back into the history of the site, as well as incorporating a nature playscape that ties into the other features of the site using tunnels and mounds of earth to mimic the bunkers, and using features to do multiple things, like having shade structures where we can put up signage in the prairie. And then with the plantings, this would be around the main entry and the parking lot. I want to create the sense of the prairie and the natural landscape upon arrival, starting at the parking lot in the rain gardens and with the demonstration gardens around the visitor pavilion. My design process started off by doing bubble diagrams and conceptual drawings. This process involved a lot of communication with my stakeholders to produce the best design solutions and create the best connections across the site to come up with the final design. Looking at my final design, my master plan showcases the real-line circulation pattern that improves visitor experiences by allowing the prairie to be the first thing you see as you pull in. Upon arrival, you get to experience the new visitor pavilion, the demonstration garden, and have easy access to the trails within the prairie. The prairie trails will have shade structures to provide escape from the sun, acting as viewing blinds, and providing space for interpretive signage, as well as including an overlook to provide expansive views of the prairie. Coming into my new visitor experience, this space provides a welcoming arrival point that features the visitor pavilion with picnic tables, photo moments, access to the gardens and bathrooms. A sense of place and arrival is created. The plantings in this entry zone are all plantings you will see as you walk through the prairie, giving you a glimpse of what is to come as you explore further. A further look into that new visitor experience, here in this image you can see the new pavilion with materials that call back to the history of the site, as well as the bison sculpture that provides a photo opportunity right as you walk in. This place creates a sense of arrival. It is a gateway that you have to walk under this and into the gardens before you can enter the site. So you are introduced to everything you will see further along at this one space. The new Iron Bridge Trailhead provides key wayfinding information and access to the 4 new trails and experiences on the site. As you move further, you will enter in the education and recreational spaces on site. Just moving south of the Iron Bridge Trailhead, you get into the educational and recreational space of the site, where you can have a multitude of experiences from the natural playscape, the outdoor classroom, enjoy a reflective experience over the historical farm sets at the boardwalks, or enjoy the views of the prairie from the amphitheater or even a show. And finally, a view of the natural playscape with a dry creek bed that provides an interactive experience with the grasses and wildflowers on site, as well as the natural earth mounds in the back that mimic the bunker experience as you climb and crawl through them, with other natural playscape experiences such as the stepping logs and views back out into the prairie and visitor pavilion. That is my capstone, and I appreciate you listening along. Thank you.